Who would have thought the directors of Good Time would make a film starring the one and only Adam Sandler? Not me. So, we're going to talk about Uncut Gems. It's the new film from the Safdie brothers, their fourth film, and their first collaboration with Adam Sandler. It's a New York crime thriller set in 2012 during a basketball game in the Diamond District area, and Adam Sandler plays Howard Ratner, and he is a Diamond District dealer and owner, and he's got an addiction to gambling, and it's a film about. Is the best way to compare this film is like Jenga. It's basically about a grave being dug in deeper and deeper and deeper with its central protagonist, done in the most energetic, electrifying, most exhausting, loud, brashest way possible. It's as if Michael Bay decided to become a good director and he would deliver something like this. It's very inspired, or it looks like it was inspired by the films of the 70s, most especially from Sidney Lumet and Martin Scorsese. But what caught me interested is that when I first heard about this film, it was last year, after I was really curious to see what the Safdie brothers would do next, especially after Uncut Gems with a career-defining performance from Robert Pattinson. But it wasn't when it was announced that their next film would be with Adam Sandler, that really got my interest, because I love it when actors known for what they're usually doing, such as comedy, do something like completely different. In the case of this with Adam Sandler, because who is known to do Jack and Jill, Happy Gilmore, and Big Daddy, right? Even though he's done Punch Drunk Love, right, he's never done a film about a crime thriller like this before, right? Even though it's got ounces of comedy to it. But I was really excited to see what was going to be like, and the critics, when it was first released, were praising it, including Adam Sandler's performance, and the fact that it had also Indina Menzel in it from Frozen, and it had Kevin Garnett, and the fact that it's very New York 70s, exhausting, really intense film. I mean, I think Robbie Collin from The Telegraph gave it a 5 out of 5, saying it's one of the tensest films he has ever seen, right? And coming from him means that it's going to be a good film. So, it was released in January 10th, I think, in the UK, before it was released last year in America, like in December. But it was released in 2020. It's the first film I saw this year in the cinemas, which is why I'm going to review every movie that I see on cinemas and so forth. But I was more excited to see this film than, say, The Irishman or 1917, right? And I travelled all the way to London to see it, even though it was going to be released on Netflix in January 20th. But it was one of those films that I have to see this in the cinema to get that fulfilling experience. And I was so glad that I did so, because watching it in the cinema is a completely different effect in comparison to watching it on the TV on Netflix. Even though it is still a good film, but it's better watching this film in the cinemas, and I was so glad to do so. It was worth every penny, despite being £15. So when I went to see the film, I was in front row, and by the end of it, I was completely left on an emotional high, just like, whoa, what was that? And I realised this was one of the best films I've seen in cinemas in years, right? I don't usually get that effect. Most of the time I get bored from what I watch, especially with contemporary mundane films. This was the best film I've seen on cinemas since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So, what can I say? Basically, Adam Sandler is at his career-defining best. He is absolutely brilliant in this movie. He is relentless, sleazy, disgusting, but also you root for this main character, right? Because pretty much every character in this movie are just a bunch of arseholes. And the biggest arsehole out of all of them is none other than Adam Sandler's Howard Ratner, who just cheats his way through. He's addicted to gambling when he's in so much debt to who he owes a lot of debt to, these like really scary loan sharks led by Eric Bosnian, who I haven't seen in ages, and I wish I would see more of him, because I find him to be a really underappreciated actor, especially after seeing Talk Radio by Oliver Stone like a couple of years ago. So it's also like it's amazing to see that Josh and Benny Safdie, the brothers who directed this movie, up their game in comparison after like Good Time, and also that it's not a Netflix film. Let me just tell you that, because it was originally from A24. The fact that it got critically acclaimed is the reason why Netflix bought this movie, and because Adam Sandler was doing a lot of Netflix other movies on Netflix, right? He's doing all these Netflix movies, so they thought, okay, here's a good Adam Sandler movie, so let's buy this film, right? But to me, I see it more as an A24 film rather than a Netflix film, and for many reasons, and the prime reason being so, because a lot of Netflix movies, especially Netflix original movies, they all look like, The Irishman included, by the way, they all look like they were shot from the same cinematographer. They have this low quality. It's as if all the Netflix movies look like they were all shot by the same cinematographer who shoots David Fincher's films, but much cheaper. A cheaper version of a David Fincher film. There is a lack of soul to it, and I think that's got something to do with the sensorial experience that is most other films you see. And that's why I don't find many Netflix movies completely cinematic. However, this one, however, by the Safdie brothers, Uncut Gems, is incredibly cinematic. It was also shot from the guy who shot Too Old to Die Young by Nicholas Winding Refn, and he shot David Fincher's Seven, right? So we're talking, this is high-class stuff, and indeed it is. It's a sensorial experience. It's nauseating, and it's filled with noise. In fact, there's barely like 5 minutes in this movie where there is actual quiet moments, right? The soundtrack is spot on by Orthodox Point Never. I think it was Daniel Lubisky or something like that. I just can't remember his name. I apologize for that. But the soundtrack is amazing. It fits perfectly with the atmosphere. And it has not just like the soundtrack itself, but they will have moments where they'll play songs from Billy Joel and Jiggy Dat Gosnisto, L'amour toujours, at one point plays, and it just fits perfectly with the scenario and the atmosphere within this film, basically. It's incredibly intense. But it's incredibly enjoyable and utterly compelling, thanks to also not only the Safdie brothers, but a mesmerizing performance by Adam Sandler and his cast, including with Kevin Garnett. What's his name? Indina Menzel, who's also from Frozen. This is her first drama role I've seen her doing anyway. And Lakeith Stanfield is in this as well, and he's really good. And also The Weeknd is in this with a brief cameo, but he is really, really good. Briefly, he's a bit of a disgusting little pig. However, he somehow nailed it for once, the first time I've seen him do an acting performance, and I'll be intrigued to see what he does next, even though that was like barely 3 minutes in that movie. But I'd love to see Adam Sandler do more of this sort of thing, because I think it just proves what a really capable actor he is, basically. And that's why Uncut Gems, I give kudos to the Safdie brothers. Well done, Adam Sandler. Please do more of this, Adam Sandler, because you are absolutely terrific and utterly believable in this film. Personally, you should have got the Oscar for Best Actor in comparison to Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, who was good, by the way, but I don't know, I feel like Adam Sandler really deserved it in this film. So yeah, Uncut Gems, I give it a 5 out of 5. And I will carry on doing this review, but the next one will be in French. And if you want to see more of my YouTube videos up next, please subscribe down the link below. And yeah, have a good one. Ciao, au revoir, until next time.